Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Willie 5. I am doing the second review to the XPS 15 L502X, the gaming performance from the GT 525M for one of the games, and the game is Resident Evil 5. Right now I got it all stock settings. I just want to point out on my first video, this is the second video, and on my first video the temperature was actually I think like 88, 86, 88 on the GPU, but this never gets hot, and actually the fan over here never gets hot either. So I don't know where they're getting these temperatures from, but it even says over here, like right now it's saying it's 52 degrees Celsius, which is, you know, kind of high for just being, you know, at idle pretty much, because it's 0% usage on the GPU. So for this to be 53 degrees Celsius, that's just odd. And this has been at rest for at least 10 minutes. So basically I'm just going to do part 2 of the video. This one I'm actually going to overclock the GPU. And again, this is the GT 525M, and it's the NVIDIA card. Alright, so I just overclocked it, and my clocks, the highest clocks that I can get, the highest stable clocks that I can get for, I actually played it on all my games, and I didn't have any kind of weird artifacts or anything like that, is the regular core clock is 600, I overclocked it to 835. That's actually a pretty dang good clock. And then the shader clock was, I think it was 1200. And I overclocked that to 1670. So, and I can't unlink these two. Even if I hit the unlink button, it still drags it over. So watch, I'm going to hit the unlink button. Now they should, see, I can move it by itself. But if I apply it, it just goes back, because the shader clock isn't with that clock, or that clock isn't, or the core clock isn't with the shader clock. So it has to go back to the regular settings. I don't understand why that is. But on my memory clock, which is just weird, I maxed out the memory. The memory was at 900, and I have it maxed out to 1080. I can't go any higher. The lowest is 675, the highest is 1080. So I'm at 1080. I've been running stable at that. Very happy with that. I'm going to leave it just like that. I haven't had any, if I leave it at 900, there's no performance difference if I go from 900 to 1080. But I just like the fact that it's over at 1080 instead of just at 900. Even though I don't see any frames per second increase. Alright, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and run right now. As you can see, it's already applied. The 835, 1670 on the shader, and 1080 on the memory. So I minimize that, and I'm going to go back into I'm going back to Resident Evil 5. I'm going to play it on the DirectX 10 version again. And we're going to see the performance difference between just the stock version and of the card and the overclocked version of the card. So these clocks that I have on this card, I must have a fairly good overclocking card, which I do have a good overclocking card, because of the fact that the 525, the 540, the 550 all have, the 550, they all have the same exact clocks. Alright, but not the same exact clock. They all have the same exact specs, but just different clocks. And I think on the 540 it's actually offered with 2 gigs of VRAM. I only got the 1 gig of VRAM. Like, who cares? Who cares about that? You know, well, if you see, whenever I do the benchmark, let me go to system settings first. I got 1920 by 1080 full screen, 60 Hertz, vertical sync is on, V-sync. For those that don't know what vertical sync is, it's V-sync, if that's what they know about. Frame rate is unlocked, anti-aliasing is still off, immersion blur is on, high, high, and high. And that's as high as you can go with those settings. I just wanted to show you that they're all the same as before. And now I'm going to go to the benchmark. But whenever you see inside the benchmark, well, I guess you won't be able to see, but I think the maximum amount of VRAM that's being used is maybe 400. And that's with all these specs, just all, you know, obviously the more anti-aliasing you put on, the higher amount of VRAM you would need, but even if you had the 540, you're not going to do that. But these clocks are over the 540 version. They're actually they actually surpassed the 550 version. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and play the variable benchmark like we did before. Let it go through there, and you'll see the biggest difference between the stock and the overclock.
You don't know what you're talking about! You can all go to hell!
Wait a minute. That's the...
Keep forward! For what? Now to Suia!
Alright, for those that don't know, that right there, this sequence is the end of sequence 1, area 1. So whenever the areas come up at the end, that's area 1. This is area 2 now. Everything's playing very smoothly, very smoothly. This is area 3 now. That was the end of 2, and now this is the beginning of 3. And this is area 4, sorry. I know I started a little bit late, but this is area 4, the last area right here. It's 88% complete. That's it with the benchmarks. So as you can see in area 1, you got 30 frames per second, 2, 36, 3, 30, and then 4 is 34 frames per second. Now it's a B on the score. I don't know how they determine that, but as you can see, 1920 by 1080 at 32 bits, and GTX 525 at DirectX 10. So let me go ahead and escape and quit. Yes. And then remember the actual temperatures before on the other game were about 80, 88 or so. This one stays at a cool 80. I don't understand how that happened. But anyways, so I mean, there's not too much of a difference in the heat. That's what I'm trying to show. It's not too much difference in the heat. Maybe it was 80 for the previous review also, or the previous benchmark also. But as of right now, it is a cool 59. Actually, that's not very cool at all. But still, I think that something might be wrong with the temperature dies on the GPUs. Maybe it's reading wrong or something, because these GPUs, even whenever I turn it on from a cold start, it starts up at like 50 Celsius, and I'm just like, that's kind of high just for a cold start, especially if it's very warm, cool inside the house. But that's the review for the GT525M on the XPS 15 L502X. This is Job Willie 5, and if you have any questions, please just write me, and I'm out of here.